Okay, episode 3. As promised, we're going to talk a little bit about villager stats and villager needs. So we have 3 stats in the game. We have happiness, hunger, and energy. Happiness largely revolves around, firstly, your relationship with the villagers, you as the gods, relationship with the villagers. If the villagers love you and they love how you're treating them, they'll be super happy. Also, their relationship with other villagers. This is a mechanic that has not yet been fully fleshed out, but we will have ultimately a quite complicated relationship tree between all of the villagers in the game. It will also be various buildings you build make them happy. You have entertainment buildings, beautiful buildings, little parks, statues, things that they can look at that makes them happy. Most importantly, however, happiness is determined by socializing. The more they socialize, the happier they are. The less they socialize, the less happy they get. Shock horror. And so if they are locked to a task, which you're able to do, if you really need to get something done, you can assign a villager to a task and lock them so that they will never leave until they die, literally. And in such a case, they can get very unhappy because they don't socialize for a long time. And so that's happiness. Happiness is determined by those factors. Energy is energy. The more you work, the more you get knackered, the more you get tired, and the lower your energy drops. The way they resolve this is to rest. We have various resting states. We have just plonking yourself on the floor and having a sit down. This is the least efficient way of regaining energy. We also have resting against a building or a resource, a tree, for example. And finally, you have rest buildings and houses. So if you've built accommodation for your villagers, each village will be assigned to accommodation. So if you have 3 houses with 2 villagers and you have 6 villagers, 3 times 2 is 6. That means all of your villagers will have houses to return to. So if they get tired and they're close to their house, when they get tired, they'll go back and have a little siesta. If not, they will try to seek out one of the previously mentioned forms. And also you have rest buildings. So for example, here you can see we have the reading corner. They can move up to the reading corner, have a little sit in the chair, have a little read, and recover their energy much more quickly. So it's in the player's best interest to build plenty of these little rest buildings in order to allow for villagers to be as efficient as possible during the day and get all of their jobs done. And finally, we have hunger. So this is not exactly accurate because high hunger you would have thought would mean you're more hungry, but no, counterintuitively, that's not the case. But it's quite simple. So as they progress through the day, the harder they're working, the more their hunger drops, or the more hungry they get. And of course, we have various ways of getting food. We have fishing, either fishing rod or fishing spear. We also have farming and farms, where you can grow your food. A very important part of the game is nutrition. So you have fish, and you have between 6 to 8 different crops that you can grow throughout the game. And the more food that you have in your diet, or the more food they have in their diet, the healthier they'll be. The slower their energy will decrease, the happier they'll be, the higher their life expectancy will be, so on and so forth. Broadly speaking, villagers will look after their stats by themselves. They'll break when they need to, but also you may need at certain times, if they're too far away or certain other conditions, you may need to keep an eye, make sure nobody's dying, and drag them to places they need to be if they need some stats replenishing. There are some negative states if they drop too low, but we'll talk about that in the future. See you next time.